Okay, we're all connected. I'm very glad we're able to meet today. I hope that you're having a good day. I understand that this is a faculty retreat there.
Yeah, we're having an afternoon teaching and learning retreat.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, I'm very excited that we're able to connect. What I wanted to do today, I know that we've got about half an hour now scheduled in, is really just give you a little bit of information on what Top Hat is, what it does, and how it's used by the majority of professors and faculty who have decided to use Top Hat, both at MUN and, of course, kind of school-wide across North America. First, I just wanted to take a second to introduce myself. My name is Robson. I'm working with, currently for the winter semester, faculty at MUN as well as Dalhousie University. I've worked with University of New Brunswick in the past, as well as a couple other schools in the States as well. Now, Top Hat itself was founded about 7 years ago as a graduate project out of the University of Waterloo. I'm not sure how much information you had on Top Hat prior to this meeting, but now 7 years down the line, we've grown as a company tremendously, now with about 180 employees in both Canada and the United States. And we're being used by over 1 million students across North America, which is fantastic. The company, though, is based in Canada, in Toronto, where I am currently, and all of our data is stored in Canada, software is created in Canada. So really, Top Hat was just created to help students actively engage within the classroom. I mean, we know that current students expect an interactive classroom now that's really both easily accessible and cost-effective, which is why we've kind of decided to go ahead with students using their own devices. So laptops, tablets, any type of phone, smartphone, or simple flip phone, students can access Top Hat that way. So really our goal is to help profs easily reach the modern student, kind of using technology as a bridge to kind of help shift the bell curve to the right of the spectrum and help students do better inside the classroom. So what I've done is just quickly put together a presentation to show you how the majority of professors use Top Hat in their classes. So I will show you some of the features, how they're used. I'll also show you how the students can respond, and also how grading is stored. And then I just want to leave about 10 minutes at the end for any sort of questions so that you guys can kind of share your thoughts with me as well. Now, I'm just going to launch right into my presentation, and I just wanted to orient you with what you're seeing on the screen. Now, this larger monitor here is the professor's view of Top Hat. This is what the professor would be controlling, and this is how they control what they're sharing to their students, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. Now, this smaller screen here, this is my phone simulator. I just wanted to have this up to show you what the students would see on Top Hat if they were using Top Hat on their smart device. Now, of course, this can be any sort of technology that they've got. So my own course today, I have my courses divided into lectures. My presentation today is going to be on the history of the lecture. So once I'm ready to start presenting in class, I can just go to present slides. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start with attendance. Great way just to get the class kind of paying attention at the front. Also really great as a data marker. I'm sure you know where at the end of the semester you can, if a student comes into your class and they want to know why they've gotten certain grades based on participation, or if they're asking for a grade bump, you're able to look at their attendance records and then decide from there if you want to grade them with certain, with some extra help or extra credit. So every single time you click Take Attendance, a random 4-digit code generates. Now, this is then presented at the front of the classroom so that only the students who are really there with you in class will be able to see what this is. And then on their student's device, they're able just to pop it in. So today my attendance code is 3287. Now, students are provided with a receipt that their attendance has been recorded, so they're notified that that the professor has been kind of aware of their attendance. Professors are able to get a head count, and they're able to launch right into their presentation. Now, all of this data is stored in our gradebook as well. So here I just wanted to launch right into my presentation. It's on the history of the lecture today. This is an image of an old ancient lecture hall, looking pretty similar to what we've got today. A little less comfortable, I might say. This is where a professor might stand at the front of the classroom. Now, you can annotate on all of these slides, and students are also able to see any annotations. These will be staged onto your PowerPoint presentation until you decide to clear them. So here I just integrated my first question into my lecture. I wanted to kind of test my students' understanding of the knowledge prior to really delving into it. This one's simple multiple choice, so students are able to take a guess. Once everyone in class has answered, you'll be able to see down here who's answered. You can, of course, see how they've done in class. So we can show the correct answer. And we're also able to get a histograph of the responses. So you're able to see the complete breakdown in real time in terms of how your students have kind of comprehended the material that you're going over on the spot. So instead of waiting until the midterm or even quizzes, students are able to get an understanding of how they're performing. As well, you're able to see if you need to go over certain topics a little bit more, or if you're good to move on. Now, this is another type of question that we've got, and this one's quite fantastic if you do make use of images or diagrams, charts or graphs or anything like that. This is our click on target question. Now, what I'm asking my students to do is to simply click on where Morocco is on the map, see if they've paid attention in geography class. They're then able, of course, to submit. Now, this time when we show the correct answers and the responses, it shows the where the students have clicked on the map by way of thermal imaging, which is very interesting because larger lecture halls, if you have over 20 students, you're going to be able to get a really great visual representation of what your students are understanding and what they might need to go over a little bit more in depth. So of course, the more PowerPoint slides, anything that you've created outside of Top Hat, PowerPoint presentations, Word documents, PDFs can simply be uploaded onto Top Hat and run through as is. You don't have to make any adjustments on that as well. So, of course, we've got some disadvantages to the modern lecture. Students are a little bit passive rather than active in their own learning. It really is only one-way communication inside the classroom. Students are kind of able to come to the back of the class with their earbuds in and expect the professor to put on the show. So what we're really just trying to encourage is students to feed back to the professor and have a real working relationship inside the classroom. Now, this is just a slide I wanted to show you, which kind of shows how students' attention ranges inside the classroom. So from the high point, when they first walk in, their attention tends to drop quite rapidly. Now, their attention flatlines throughout the majority of the lecture when a lot of the key information is being presented to the class. They tend to miss quite a bit of it. Now, closer to the end of the presentation, they're kind of anticipating leaving, they're starting to shuffle, and they really are just looking forward to heading out. So what we suggest and what a lot of professors have started doing is every 10 to 15 minutes or so, engage them with something that's really going to get their adrenaline running, ask them a couple of questions, start a discussion, something that's going to really incentivize them to pay attention for the duration of the lecture. So you can really make the most of the time you have with them, because I know that time is really limited to the most part. Now, this is another type of question I wanted to show you. This is fantastic for stimulating discussions, if that's something that you're looking to do inside the classroom. To kind of, instead of speaking on the shyer students or only hearing from a handful of the more talkative ones, you're able to get a widespread distribution of responses. So here I'm just asking for one word that is associated with active learning. So of course, students, there's no really correct answer. They can really type in anything that they want. Now, same drill, when you show responses, you can of course show the histograph. I prefer though to show these responses in a word cloud. This gives you a visual representation of what every single class, or rather every single student in class has responded. So the more bold and the larger words are actually more frequently responded. You're able then to, of course, break down the class in groups to discuss the responses, or even have students raise their hand and defend their answers. I hear from a lot of professors that once the student has already thought about and answered a question, it makes them much more comfortable to really talk about it in class. Rather than really going into discussion cold, they've already thought about it and they're much more engaged. Now, this is one of the final things that I wanted to show you in terms of the in-class engagement portion. This is our live discussion board. And again, this is really fantastic for stimulating discussions as well as just making sure that everyone in class has a way to feedback to the professor in terms of things that they aren't understanding or things they need to go over again. So there are a couple ways that you can use this board. Here I'm just making sure that my students don't have any questions for me, so that the Shire students have a way to speak to the professor. So on the student's device, they can really type in any question that they got. Now, all submissions automatically rise to the top of the professor's platform. Now, the fantastic thing about this is if a student goes on to the discussion board and they see a question that they themselves share with their peers, they don't have to type it in again. They would simply just vote the response, and the most frequent questions or the most frequent responses actually rise to the top of the discussion or of the professor's discussion platform. Now, what's great about this is a lot of professors will take 5 minutes at the end of class or even 10 minutes on a Friday, address the top 3 or 4 questions that most students have asked, address it in class so that everyone is able to kind of leave for the weekend or leave for the next lecture completely clarified in terms of what was presented for the day, which is great. Now, you also have the option of responding to these outside of class. So if you're in your office and you see a question come up, you're able to type in a response. So
You could also create, like, if you wanted to just sit down in front of your webcam and do like a 5-minute video at the end of the week, sort of answering the key questions that have come out and then posting that onto the system so that you're picking it up, you know, and if you start to see the same questions occurring time and time again, then it maybe lets you know that you need to adapt how you're delivering that content because they're having issues in it. The one thing that you may not be have noticed here is that although it'll run on all smartphones and tablets and devices, you'll notice that in the bottom of the screen there is also a texting option so that they can still respond to all the questions if they don't have a smartphone, if they're still using a standard analog flip phone or one of the older style phones, they're still able to engage with that content in the class. And Claire, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can have it set so that when people submit questions, it comes in anonymous onto the screen so that the other students in the class don't know who's asking that. But as the professor, you can see who asked that question. So if it's a student that you need to provide additional assistance to, you can do that. Is that correct?
Exactly, yeah, thank you for that. So anything or any response on the discussion board can also be anonymous, which is fantastic as well. A lot of students are shy, they don't want a stigma attached to any questions that they've asked. But you as a professor are still able to see exactly who's posted these questions. So you're able to A, track participation in class, B, track attendance, and C, offer extra help to any students who might need it as well. Fantastic. So do you have any questions for me up to this point?
I do. This information, hi there, thank you, this is very good, Claire.
Nice to meet you.
At the end of the term or at any time during the term, can the instructor or the professor look and see how many questions were posed or answered by each student? And can that be shared digitally, personally with each student so that during the semester they can be tracking their own participation and be aware of it?
Yes, thank you for that question. That's fantastic. And it's also a perfect segue into what I wanted to show you next, which is our gradebook and some of the data tracking, as well as how the students have access to that on their own devices. I'm just going to end my presentation so I can show you exactly how the grades are tracked. Now,
well, just while you're doing that, Claire, I just want to provide a little bit of a comment or some insight to the faculty here, because we just sort of finished up a previous presentation, so I wasn't able to sort of give as much lead in to your presentation, and we've got a little bit more time on the back end, so we're not quite so pressed. One of the reasons why we're taking a look at Top Hat is, you know, I've taken a look at a lot of interactive systems, and I'm on a committee with Memorial University that's looking at the different types of clicker technologies and in-class engagement tools and those sorts of resources. And Top Hat has grown and has got a fairly robust platform that can be extremely useful to get that in-class engagement. Or from my perspective, if I'm teaching something that's done in a hybrid format where I'm doing a synchronous online delivery, I can incorporate these interactive questions as I'm delivering synchronously online. So I'm actually engaging with people while they're in whichever location they're at. And so it's really designed to significantly benefit the face-to-face interactions in the classroom and engagement, as well as any synchronous online presentations that you may be doing. CITL here at Memorial does provide some additional support for Top Hat in addition to the great support that Top Hat is using. And one of the big reasons why I wanted to ask them to come in and deliver this presentation to you guys today is their strength in numbers. The licensing, or for the students' access to Top Hat, is on a semester basis or a degree basis. But so if there's one professor that's using Top Hat in their classroom, they pay X dollars. If there's 6 professors in the 6 classes they're taking using Top Hat, they're still paying the same price. So the more of their professors that are actually using Top Hat in the classroom, it actually becomes much cheaper because it's one price whether there's one professor that's utilizing it or if there's several of us that are utilizing it. So we wanted to really get some feedback from you and to get some insight from Claire to just sort of take a look and look at utilizing it and say, is this going to be an effective system for us to adopt at the Faculty of Business as sort of like our main interactive student response system tool? Because the more that we sort of say, well, rather than, okay, this professor is going to use this clicker, so the students have to go buy that clicker, and then this professor is going to use Top Hat, so they have to have that subscription or whatever. If we've got one standard system that gives them access to everything, then that's going to be much more advantageous for the students. It's going to be better off for us because the students see, okay, I'm using this in multiple classes. They get more familiar with the interface. They get more comfortable with the interface, and it can build on it. And because it's supported both by Top Hat and by CITL here at MUN, it's a nice complement to our other tools that we're using. I'm going to be beta testing it very heavily. I meant to do it in the intersession, but due to family health situations that occurred, I wasn't able to sort of do that with that session, but we're going to be using it starting in January with both an online course, but a hybrid course that we're doing as well. And we'll talk to you about that a little after, about what we might be able to do to sort of see about incorporating into your systems. David?
This beta testing, is that for the fall for the winter, or the winter will become the beta testing?
The winter will be the beta
So
test.
I'd be a volunteer if you want somebody, because I would like to try it out.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's a very robust. I mean, Claire's just touching on the high points here, but as a means, it really addresses a lot of the concerns with the engagement and interactivity that we see within classes. And I think that it's an opportunity for us to be able to understand where our students' needs are and to address them without sort of signaling out, going, you in the back row that's falling asleep, what's the answer to this, type thing. Sorry, Claire, I just wanted to sort of lay the groundwork for everybody so they understood where we were in context with this. So I'll pass it back over to you.
Perfect, yeah, thank you for that. That was very, very well said. Of course, if you are having hybrid courses as well, this works fantastically for synchronous courses. So launching questions within that, having discussions, even when you're not inside the same classroom. So all works very, very similarly. So it works quite well with that as well. Also is quite great for outside of the classroom as well. So you can use this as a homework tool. You can post study guides. You can have your students answering any of the questions from inside of class, outside of class. So they're able to test their own knowledge. So if that's something that you're interested in doing as well, we definitely have ways to work with that. Now, in response to the previous question about the grades, just wanted to show you the grade book really quickly. Now, the grade book has 2 sections. The kind of course content tab, which shows you the course averages, and on average how every single student in your class has done on specific questions. Now, all of this is retroactive. If you want to change the grade weight, you're able to do that, and it automatically adjusts for all of your students. Now, if you wanted to go in and get kind of like a complete overview of how each of your students has done in class, how many questions they've answered, how many classes they've attended, you go into the Students tab, and you can check out the class roster. So even if you go into My Course tab, we're able to see my course average, my attendance record, and how I fared on every single question that's been asked in class. So from this, your attendance is automatically graded, your participation is automatically graded, and if you were thinking about using this for any sort of quizzing, that is automatically graded as well. Now again, all of this is retroactive. If I have, let's say, an excused absence, you're able to click back and forth from attendance to absence, and everything will adjust automatically in terms of your attendance. Now, students, of course, they are going to be wanting to see how they are performing in class throughout the course of the semester. So they have access to their own gradebook as well. So they don't have to wait for anything to be marked or uploaded onto D2L. They can just check on their devices how they've done on every single question, all the classes that they've missed and that they've been attending. So they're able to get real-time feedback on their performance inside of the classroom. Now, at the end of the semester, or if you want to aggregate all of your data and put your grades onto your LMS, you simply just go to export. You export it to Excel, so you're able to customize exactly what you want to add into the grades, and then you upload the file onto D2L. Now, as Lyle mentioned, there are strengths in numbers. We do integrate with D2L, so that we'll be able to sync automatically. We don't currently have this at Memorial, but with more interest and more faculty who is using Top Hat on campus, this is something that we would definitely be interested in doing down the line with months, just for kind of future knowledge. Now, something else I really wanted to show you, since I thought that it might be quite good for business as well as kind of MBA programs, is our Pages tool. Now, the Pages tool is something that allows you to create your own content, create your own interactive Word documents embedded with questions, videos, or discussions. So let's say you wanted to have, it could just be a study guide, and assign it to your students for them to look at before the midterm or before the exam. So you're able to add in images, questions, import videos, post discussions. You can even embed math, because we are integrated with LaTeX. If you are interested in having audio clips, you can do that as well, and video clips of yourself. So say you wanted your students to be able to watch a recording of you speaking in one of your serious courses, you're able to do that as well. Now, you can also embed text, of course, and then all of this is automatically graded as well, and everything works exactly as the features do in class. It's just more in a Word document. So pretty simple, but quite useful as well. Now, I did want to mention a couple things that we do in terms of professor training and getting set up, as well as some of the pricing breakdown. But do you have any questions before I go into that?
Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
You may have answered this question, but I'm just wondering, in terms of encouraging discussion, is there the ability to turn on, students remain anonymous?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary, I'm actually having some issues hearing.
She's asking if there's a way in the discussion to turn on students remain anonymous.
Yes. So I can show you exactly how you would do that. Once you go to discussion, you're going to have some options. So you can turn on the anonymous settings from your end. And then you're also able to see exactly who that was if you want. If you want to have them remain anonymous to you as well, you can do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
And I have a question about how easy is it for students to answer the questions, because you, at the bottom of your screen, you had this type text 4197 reply to 647-931-6505, and you said that, well, that's only if you don't have a smartphone. Well, how much easier is it if you do have a smartphone?
And they just touch the screen. So
okay.
yeah, if you look on the left,
yeah.
That's what they're seeing on their smartphone. And so they would see the questions there, and they would have the 4 options, and they just click the button for whichever option they want to do. Or if it was the math question, they would just do that, or they would just type in the answer if it's a math question.
Wow. Good.
Yeah, it's all done through the app.
Any smartphone, you simply just use your touchscreen as you would if you were texting. Now, I would say that the majority of students do use Top Hat on either their smartphone or on their laptop. You might have a handful of students in the department who choose to use their flip phone, and that's totally fine as well. But most of them will be using their cell phone.
And what type of cell phones or smartphones do you support? All, will include
So all
BlackBerry?
of them,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I know Android and Apple are the big ones, and then BlackBerry is a smaller market and it's sometimes missed.
Yeah, a couple of my colleagues have Blackberries as well, and they're able to use Top Hat in all of our town hall meetings. So any type of cell phone is fine.
Yeah.
And the advantage is besides the apps that are available for the phones or the tablets, it's also available and accessible from their laptops as well. So if
Exactly.
they can just go to the web-based link on their laptop
Exactly.
and access all the content. And the advantage of it is as well as if, we don't have the disadvantage here in the Faculty of Business, but if you're in a big, huge lecture theater and you've got some very finite detail that you want to see, if the students are seeing their slides on their device as opposed to just at the front of the class, it can help them see a little bit more detail in a larger class. Not that we need to worry about that very much here.
Exactly. Something else I wanted to mention is that you as a professor as well, if you do have any sort of tablet, so iPad or Android tablet, you're actually able to run Top Hat on your Podium computer or using your laptop, and then use your tablet as a remote control. So if you are wanting to be a little bit more mobile in your classroom, you can flip through your slides and launch your questions on your tablet, so you're not kind of immobilized rather behind your podium. You're able to integrate with students a little bit more.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Rebecca.
So when they're, say, they're in class and they've, checked in for attendance and we're using this, is there anything about it that keeps them from being able to just sort of exit it and go to Facebook or whatever and other stuff while they're still signed in?
I'm still having a
She was asking if once they've used their phone and signed in, is there anything that tracks whether they've exited and are on Facebook? Probably no more than if your students are in the class on Facebook with their phone anyway.
That's exactly it. So once they're on their phone, they can either be following along, of course, with the lecture or go off a little bit kilter. Same thing with a typical lecture. Sometimes what professors will do is encourage students to only use their phone once they're kind of answering a question or participating in a discussion to have Top Hat time. The way that you choose to run that is completely up to you.
I had a question. Is there like an offline mode? Like I'm just thinking if your Wi-Fi drops out halfway through your presentation, can you still go through the slides normally, like maybe without doing the quizzes? Or does the whole thing just kind of shut down?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So we do have an offline mode, and what this means is that once a question has been asked, students are able to kind of answer the question still, and all of the data will be timestamped and then recorded into the gradebook once the Wi-Fi has been reconnected.
Okay, I think that's all the questions for the moment, Claire, so you can continue.
Okay, perfect. Now, what I just wanted to mention as well is the training that we'll provide for any professor who wants to use this. So once you decide to give this a shot, we would just introduce you to our instructional design team. Now, this is an internal team here at Top Hat that would really work with you one-on-one to help you set up your course and integrate any content that you already have created with the Top Hat platform. So they would essentially do a screen sharing program similarly to what we're doing today. Take about 45 minutes to talk to you about your goals and what you'd like to accomplish by using Top Hat, and then work with you to make sure your course is 100% ready to go for the next semester. And then you'd be ready to go. We would upload your roster and invite your students on your behalf, and then they would be able to log in and start using Top Hat right away. Now, the cost of the platform, as Lyle mentioned, it is a one-time fee for students on a semester basis. Now, for the semester, it's $24. If students were expecting to use Top Hat in a couple courses throughout the course of the year, they can also subscribe to our year option, which is $36. And we do have a lifetime license, which would cover students for the duration of their degree, and that one is $72.
And for some of our students, that could be a lifetime.
Sorry. It could be a lifetime, yeah, exactly. 17 years later. Hopefully not. But yeah, most students will use either the semester or the year option. And of course, if you were thinking about doing this on a department level, we would set up a year license for you. So that's what how the departments would go. But I mean, I would suggest if it's something that you wanted to try for the winter, give it a trial, and then you can decide if it's something that you wanted to adopt as well. Now, what I wanted to do is, I mean, of course, if there are any questions, let me know. Lyle, if you could send me kind of an email list of those who are here today, so I can send you just a follow-up email so you have my contact information if you have any questions at all. As well, if there are some of you who are interested in trying this out for winter to do some beta testing, that would be something that we'd be able to get you set with as well. We just help you create your account, so you'd be able to start playing with the content as soon as you feel ready to go through that. And then, of course, we would set you up with your orientation specialist, so that you would be able to kind of have the keys to the city and be ready to go.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you very much for joining us today, Claire. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Lyle. Thank you very much. I look forward to connecting down the line.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, take care. Talk to you later.
All right, if you want to just take a 5-minute break, have a stretch, grab some cookies or some sugar, beverage, go to the